How do you feel?
10 out of 10. I felt like really nervous when I first got here, and I didn't know if I could be around this many people all the time. But I feel like since I'm not around my family, this is like becoming my family. Therefore, like I don't feel lonely, but I also don't feel overwhelmed by how many people it is. I think it's good. I think we'll do good. So good. 10 out of 10 good.
Good. We're also talking about the year of service that's coming up, by the way, and that we're doing right now.
I feel good. And I hope that like my capacity can grow to a place that's like, I no longer think of it as my capacity, but as the capacity I have to serve others. Or like, I don't know. I would just like to, you know, make things better, help people out, develop other people's capacities.
Oh my god, that hurt. Alright. Hurts so bad.
Oh, that's great.
Ow.
So, question.
Answer.
Come over here.
Yeah. We're documenting.
Go for it.
Question is,
Start 20 years.
Huh?
yes, how do you feel about this year? How do you feel about this year having done a week?
Excited and hopeful for the future.
Okay, but be genuine, not
I am.
showy.
I'm not.
Be
Okay,
detailed.
alright, let
Be
me
detailed.
talk to the people.
What did we talk to the camera? Talk to
Talk
Trina.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of just got like thrown in there, and it's all been like high intensity, and I felt like a little bit overwhelmed, but the prayer room is real nice, and I'm excited. I feel like I like being here. The space is beautiful, the people are great, and like I really like it here. And of course, you know, I think we haven't been here long enough to really know what it's all about, but I'm excited for the next couple of months here. I'm not excited about Lou Helen, but
I am.
but like at least for here, I think it's cool. I can't wait to like even outside of here, we'll like, you know, be in the departments here because it'll be fun, you know, cooking food, jamming out in the kitchen, and like being with Teresa and doing hospitality or whatever. But I feel like we're gonna get super close to, you know, the youth. Like Josh is already super chill,
Yeah,
Kyle,
Josh is
Chirac, and like Miriam and Shay or Ariel.
Cheryl.
Miriam and Shay, I want to learn from them. Alan, yeah, sick. Alan is super cool. Paul is like, I really appreciate Paul.
Yeah. He's like our big brother.
Yeah,
He's, like, watching
exactly.
over us.
Yeah. I'm ready, I think. I've said my obligatory prayer every day so far.
Woot woot.
So I'm trying to do
I
it.
haven't said it once, so we're doing a good step.
You should do it.
I think I have to better understand why I'm saying it and what it means to say it before I start saying it just mindlessly, because I know I have to say it.
Well, I think if you look at the short one and like actually think about the words, you at least get part of an answer, if not the whole answer.
I know, but I think I'm still figuring out not what God is, but like why I even have faith in God. Like I declared it as Baha'i 2 years ago because I felt it like very distinctly at that moment, but I don't. Not that I don't know if I feel it, I just don't know like where it went. So I know what I want to do with myself, and I know what I should do, and I believe in the writings of God, but I don't know my relationship with God yet.
I've never like had that aha moment. It was like on my 15th birthday, like parents got out the car, they got out the like video camera and the photo camera, they're like,
I just got sent a card and I remember it was Because I was like, this isn't unfair. You can't call me Baha'i if I don't know if I am yet.
Yeah.
But
It's
like
'cause your
granted,
dad
when I was
probably
15, I was
registered
like
you.
in a bad place. But yeah,
Just too nice.
I think I see God in other people, but that's it. Like I don't think, like I have a hard time being like God is always there, like God, you know, unless I'm seeing God in something that I can see
Yeah.
or
throughout-
feel.
in like my life, I've never, like I've seen people have like certain qualities and stuff, and I'm like, they're spiritual people, you know, like they are like good people, not like holy people, but like they exhibit the same qualities as like I would imagine, like they're godlike, right? But I don't think I've ever like seen anyone and like seen that. I think the only time that I've really felt that is whenever like I'm in nature, or like I see like a full moon, not a full moon, but like, yeah, like when the sun comes up over the mountains and like I look at the like trees and it's all, yeah, like even though it's cheesy though, I'm like the beauty in that, there's something about it.
I think my problem is that since I see God in like things, in material things, although like people's souls are material, but it's like that essence, that's where I see it. Therefore, I have a hard time praying because I feel like I'm praying to nothing. So I wonder if like, I guess I would have to talk to more people who feel like they already have like a solid foundation in like God. They have a relationship with God. They know who God is, and like, and therefore they can have a conversation. But I think, I don't know. I think like potentially like just who I am, like what my plan or like what my like path is to see God in other people, and therefore perhaps when I'm praying, I pray for myself or I pray for other people. But I'm like praying to that like soul versus like having a conversation with a essence that's somewhere else.
Yeah, even like a lot of
Are
times
you
that-
recording?
Yeah.
Does he do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like documenting, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to look at this after
Exactly.
the end of this year.
So,
She's getting mad at
Like
me
have the
earlier.
same conversation.
She was mad at me earlier when I was
I know
recording. I was recording on the
She's
hike,
like,
and she was like,
I never met.
Just
I'm
getting
just
used to
less
it.
joyous than I was like 5 minutes before
a
you
little less
started.
joyous.
Just getting used to it.
One
What
of
are you guys talking about?
We're talking about like,
spirituality. That's something
but
new.
like, at least I think like I started the conversation with like my understanding of God and
Yeah.
how like I have a hard time praying because I feel like I'm praying to nothing because like I see God in like people and things. So like when I'm around that, like I feel like I'm very like in tune, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like recognizing God in like this person or like this tree or like this and this and this. But when I go back to like my private chambers and like there's prayer books there, I feel like I'm like having a conversation with something I don't know is there. Unless I feel like I'm praying for myself because like I see God in like my soul. If I'm praying for other people because I know I'm like praying to the God that's in them
Yeah.
versus just like praying because we're supposed to pray. Like I have a hard time doing that.
One of my, so, yeah, I used to just say prayers because, like, it's what you do. Like, that's what my parents taught me.
Yeah.
It's like, you pray.
And that's why I haven't been saying.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just, I'll say prayers. Like, I never used to say my obligatory prayer. And then somebody said, like, your obligatory prayer, like, brings unknown blessings to you or something like that, right? And I was like, can I say it? But, like, I feel bad because I'm saying it for the blessings. Never, like, whatever. But when I'm reading it, like, I realize it's like every day. It's like my purpose is to know God and to worship Him, and like I'm nothing compared to God. And like that's all you say, and it takes you like a minute, and I was like, I'm down to do that. And so, but like I never I never really used to, like, except in moments where I really felt like down or there was something that was really bothering me, then I'd be like, hey God, you know, like, listen up. And so then I used to like pray to God. But then I was talking to this man, Don Streets, who's a really cool guy. He's like, I don't even know how old he is. If you watch this, Don, I'm sorry, you're not that old. He's probably like 73 or something. But he's a really wise dude. And he was like, yeah, so like, even when you're praying, don't always pray to God. Pray to Baha'u'llah. Because like, as a manifestation of God, like, Baha'u'llah understands more about like human existence, right? And so it's like, he'll better be able to like see what you need, see what you want, and then like convey that to God. And I was like, man, you really think that works? He's like, yeah, I do that all the time. And sometimes, this is the part that really got me. He's like, sometimes I pray to the concourse on high, right? Like, if there's anything special, like if I'm praying for something artsy, there are a lot of like poets in the, you know, in the Dawn Breakers. If I'm praying for something, you know, like school related, I have a math test, or like I had a math test back in the day. It's like I pray to the scholars of the faith, and I was like, that's crazy. And so like, just recently, like a couple months ago, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I started like praying to, like looking up stories of the old believers, seeing what they're about, and then like, hey, if you're not doing anything, you know, like, maybe help me out with this. Yeah, and then that's what he's like, yeah, man, the concourse, like, they're eager, they're ready. Everyone always prays to God, you know, like, they're waiting for something to do, they're waiting to help out. And I was like, okay, for sure. And so then, like, I know it might be like kind of stupid, but like, there was this time when I was feeling really, really like overwhelmed and feeling really down, like 2.5 months ago. And so I just like, I sat in my room and I was like, yo, I'm calling everyone in the concourse on high, you know, I'm like, and then I visualized it. I'm like, my grandfather, my other grandfather, and like I saw their faces, and then I'm like, you know, Mirza Mehdi, Abdul Baha, Shokhi Effendi, if y'all are up there, you know, I kind of did whatever, and I had like a little devotional gathering with all those people, and then, I don't know, I felt like a lot better, and everything that I prayed about, it got like solved or fixed or whatever.
Because like if you're praying to God, like you're praying to an essence you can't even like begin to grasp. And I feel like that's where it's hard for me, because like as humans, like we understand humanity or like the instinctual like human nature, but like how are we even supposed to? And I mean, it says like in writings, I guess, that like you can't even like the pinpoint of a needle, like you can't, like that's too much for you, like in this world. So I guess, I mean, it does make sense, because I think something that attracted me a lot to like the Hawaiian culture was like the idea of praying to your ancestors and the gods, but the gods are like, the stories of the gods are of literally like people who came to the Hawaiian Islands. So it's like still like a person.
Who's
And
the
I feel
goddess
like
with the like flaming hair?
Pele,
Pele.
volcano goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like those things like attracted me. But I mean, it makes sense because like I was reading, I feel like the only time the writings have been like made me, like, remember the other day when Miriam just started like crying when she was saying a prayer, just because like of what it said, or like the essence of it. I was reading Paris Talks, and I got like through the first one fine, and I was like reading the second one, and I just started like crying. But I guess it's because it's literally like speaking to humanity, and it's a person speaking about humanity. So it's like there's so much connection there, versus when I feel like I'm saying the obligatory prayer because like I have to say it because God like said so, or like wants me to. Like I have a harder time because it's like God's, I know God will understand me, but it's like I don't understand why God wants me to say it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But I guess like if you do look at it as like Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha, like these were actual people like living our life, like, well, not Baha'u'llah, but like Abdul Baha, like living our life and like understanding humanness for what humanness is, and like, I don't know, that's a good way to think about it. I appreciate that. Pray to like Buddha and Krishna. Like even the manifestations, I'm not gonna pray to them because it's like a little hard. At least we have Abdul Baha for like a stepping stone before, like, because it's almost like when you're growing up, like you have conversations with people your age, and then you have conversations with your parents, but you still have like a harder time having conversations with somebody who's like has that much more life experience than you, and like that much more knowledge, that much more wisdom. Like it's harder, you know, like it's almost scary. So it's like you have to like first develop the capacity to talk to your siblings, and then your parents, and then your grandparents, and then like the elders, kind of thing. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I never really, like, I think I always, like, went through the motions, but I don't know that I've ever, like, because, like, I've never read something, like, some of the writings, and just, like, some of it definitely, like, resonates, and I find a lot of it beautiful, but I never just, like, cried, or, like, really, like, felt that. That's what I've always craved. Like, I don't even think that I fully, like, believed in, you know, this idea of, like, divine intervention, or, like, a connection until, like, the summer.
Until this one.
I was in, like, earlier this month, I was in Mauritius, and I've never met my grandmother.
I know the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty special.
I know, it's weird that like when it comes to like tests and difficulties, like we're so ready to like jump on board with the idea of God and like ask for help and like pray and like get in tune with that. But when we're happy, like we don't. And there's those writings. I feel like I just maybe it was book 1 or something, but
And
I feel
when
like
is happy, he may forget his God.
yeah,
When
I
difficulties
feel like I
befall
heard
him
that.
and
Like,
sorrows come upon him, then he will remember his God who is in heaven, and he will pray to him.
yeah, but it's almost like I feel like sometimes even I don't know. It's just hard, but like I don't think I've ever connected to the writings unless I'm like literally putting them into like simple terms that are like human terms. So like a lot of times like what really gets me is like social injustice. So like that's just a big thing like with me and my father and like just in my family. So I think because it might have been the timing that I was reading like Paris Talks, but it's like talking about all these things where like you have to love each other and you have to do this and you have to do this and this is why, and like it just hit a string in me because like it's so human. And I think like all of us are scared of like innate human nature because like otherwise why would we fight? Like why would we do this and this and this? But like I talked to someone and it's like all negative human qualities or like not negative human emotions, but like not the most savory like human emotions come out of fear. So like why do you get sad? Why do you get angry? Like it's always a fear of something or a fear of something not being there or like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like we are like their fear is like the hardest thing I think for us to face, especially when we're angry and saying like I'm mad at you because I fear of like losing you or like because I fear like of not having a good friendship or like, you know. But no one's like ready to say that. Like I'm ready to be like I'm mad at you, like I'm so mad at you, you did this, like I'm so mad at you, but I'm not ready to like say like I am scared because of this, because like that's vulnerable, and for whatever reason like our society has like taught us otherwise.
It's vulnerability.
So it's just like you know, you don't want to read writings and cry in front of people. Like most people don't want to do that, but that's just like another veil that's holding us back from like actually getting in tune with like the rawness of our humanity. I think that's why, like, Paris Talks, when I was reading it at that moment, it was like all the terrorist attack, blacks, like the Black Lives Matter protests, like people dying, like this, and this. So like right in that moment, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna just cry.
You know what I think is really beautiful?
God.
Is the idea of crying. Because like scientists have studied it, and basically the idea of crying is that like your emotional receptors in the brain are so overwhelmed, are so full, that they literally spill over into your tear duct. And that's like, so like when you feel more joy than your body can handle, or you feel like more sadness than your body can handle, more anger, literally like spills over into your tear duct.
Yeah. I think your body can no longer contain it.
That frightens me though, because like I don't cry a lot. And I wish I cried more. That's a weird thing to say, but like
I'm with you.
I wish I did.
I think that makes sense, but I think also like when you're thinking that way, like I feel like that is just another veil, because you're like, I wish I felt, I wish this, like I wish I felt emotional, I wish I did this and this and this, instead of literally just letting yourself. Because if you're saying like I wish I could do this, that's basically like synonymous to saying like I can't do this. So it's very much like you, I think it's good, like it's a good step to first realize like you have, or like that you don't cry that much, or you like don't feel like you're feeling too much. And then the next step I do think is like I wish I had this, but I think the next step is saying like I can have this, I do have this, like, you know, I just feel like when you're wishing for something, you're wishing for something you don't have, and because you're saying you don't have it, like it's all like human brain power. Like we can literally do or have or feel like anything we want within this world. And saying like otherwise is literally the only thing that's blocking you from feeling or wanting or doing or having these things. And I mean, it goes back to the vulnerability thing. It's like I wish, it's so much easier to say like I'm not musical, like I'm not an artist, I'm not this and this and this, or like I wish I had, like, for example, just me personally, like I wish I had the best singing voice. And that's just because like I'm probably saying like I wish I had this because I don't know, like I'm scared to sing in front of people, I'm scared to like feel like other people feel I'm singing bad, or like this and this and this, and that's literally just the only reason I'm not, you know. And it also goes back to perspective, because it's like if I thought I had a great like singing voice, I would have a great singing voice, because that's how I'm choosing to see it versus, you know. And instead of saying like I'm musically challenged, I'll just say like I got like my own flavor, like, you know. But it's like
I got my own flavor.
But it's like, one, you can't say that like you're wishing for something you don't have, because that's the reason you don't have it. But it's also like that perspective shift and actively choosing to see something a certain way versus another way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times people will say like, I just wish I was like this, or like I wish I could be happy, or like these things. But really, like, if you choose to see happiness in every single action that happens, or like especially trials, like if you chose, and not, this is like a personal thing, it's just an example, like if you chose to be happy about your backpack getting stolen because that meant somebody could eat dinner that night, or they could do this or this and this,
Or they could smoke crack.
yeah, but you know what I mean, like, or that they could find like all those pictures and memories and like you and your family, like if you chose to see that as like perhaps something that would touch the heart of that person and like stop them from doing that prior, like that might not happen, but it is also like how you're choosing it. Like my theory is that like people would not steal things that they don't need more than, because like stealing, I feel like isn't in our nature. So if somebody has to go out of their like natural state to do something, it's probably like there's a push that they have that I don't. So it's just like choosing to see it that way, and in that way, like you're unstoppable. Like you are literally like the controller of your own emotions in your own life, in your own like happiness or sadness or guilt or anger. And because of that, like you literally are, like Abdul, like Bahá'u'lláh says, you're unstoppable. Nothing can stop you because you were endowed with this like willpower above all other animals in this like material world, and therefore like you really can do anything. I don't know. I just think it's amazing. Like when you think about it like that, like you can literally be whatever you want.
Yeah, I guess it's just like after I read that, I was like, I've never been like there've only been a select few times when I've been like so overwhelmed with emotion that like my body can't handle it. I'm like, what does that say about me? You know, like I don't know. I just thought a lot about that. But like I made a lot of like good strides in like understanding myself better and who I am. Like over the past like 6-7 months, and I was watching like The Fault in Our Stars the other day, like before I came here.
Augustus wife.
Hazel Grace. And like at the end of the movie, I was like, I feel it, you know? That was like one of the points where like my eyes teared up and I was like, yo, I've never cried at a movie and this is like the closest I've come. And then the next day I watched 2012, the movie about the like, end of the world. And then there was a scene where like a son calls his father and it's just like they both knew that like the world was gonna end. He's like, hey dad, how you doing? Right? And just like the sincerity and like the genuineness in his voice, I was like immediately it was like what's in your throat, you know? And I was like, I definitely like I feel like I feel a lot more than I did before.
Yeah. Maybe it's just like letting yourself connect with literally everything and literally everyone. Because like this weekend, like it was a family weekend and I do miss my family, so like that sucked. But like I didn't know what any of them were saying the entire time, but just choosing to like see myself and like see those I understand and those that are close to me in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like one, I have so much more love and like, you know, understanding for them. But like because of that, like I could connect to somebody I can't even verbally like understand or connect to. But it's just like choosing to see like the commonality versus the differences. So like I thought like the language barrier would just phase me like the whole time, and I'd just be like, why am I even here? Like I can't even understand this. Like why would I even participate? But then just knowing like being in there, like even if we're not even communicating at all, like those feelings are just human. They're not Spanish. They're not English. They're not woman. They're not man. They're not young. They're not old. They're just like feelings that everybody can feel. And because of that, it's like you can literally connect with anyone that you choose to. I don't know. And because of that, I feel like that, at least for me, is like how I feel more and how I get overwhelmed super easily. And I feel like crying like 24/7. Like where before, like I would never let myself cry in front of another person. But knowing now that like crying will like trigger like an overwhelming emotion in another person too, and like crying's always associated with like negativity or like an unpleasant feeling. But like what is a lack of sadness? It's apathy, which is like the most unnatural state for human beings. It's like literally like the pit of all pits, and it's just like I would rather cry every single day for the rest of my life than never care about anything. And like even if I'm not happy, like if I was happy one day and apathetic 99 days, or I was crying every single day, like I would choose that because at least I'm feeling. So at least like I'm still in like the place that humans are supposed to be in, which is feeling, you know, versus nothingness.
Yeah.
For a long time, that was like a big fear of mine. Is that like I would just be like apathetic, and I didn't want to like. Actually, to be honest, I was apathetic about being apathetic, but like I think it stemmed from a place of like, again, like vulnerability. It's like
Pain. I mean, like pain is like not a great feeling. Like you don't want to be in pain, especially like suffering, like actual suffering of the soul. Like it's just not a place that I think anyone like wishes to be. But when you choose to look at it as like me suffering means that I loved something so much. And me suffering meant that I was so passionate about something, or that I cared about something so much. Like just in that, it's like pain turns into something beautiful. Especially when you come out of pain, like 10 times more wise than you were before it, but also with 10 times as much love for that thing or that person and care for that person than like you had before. And it's like, why would I care about somebody that just hurt me so bad? But it's like, now I care for them even more because instead of like choosing to see the pain as like, oh, I'm hurt, like things are bad, like blah blah blah, and then taking that pain and instead like trying to understand that person, and then like your love just grows like exponentially. Like it's like insane to even think how much it grows for a person or a thing or like some situation.
Yeah, I think I was never just like ready to be in that vulnerable state where it's like I feel.
What? When did you get a fancy word? What?
He found it.
Oh, is that the one that was in the bathroom?
What
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, so I don't think I was ever ready to be like I feel this way or like I feel this way. Or like to even begin to like let myself feel, you know?
Yeah.
It was like in this situation people should feel like this. This is how I'm going to like pretend to feel.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind you were ready. Obviously, you're ready. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't handle it to you. That's how I like try to see tests and difficulties. Or like especially, you know, like when you have a friend that's just like in the midst of pain, like how you like it's not. I feel like it doesn't help the person be like, oh, it's okay. Like things will get better. But saying like the reason this happened is because you were ready for it to happen, and like you'll grow in a way that you wouldn't be able to grow before this test, or if this test had never happened. Like when I learned that the test and difficulties prayers were actually like asking for test and difficulties, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I was like, we get them anyways, but it's just like I feel like real wisdom or like real like love or real emotion just comes when you're like it's okay to be in pain because like I know that like something is coming out of it, or just even seeing pain as like actual love, you know. It just like makes everything so much more like easy to handle, or like maybe not even easier, like maybe it's still as difficult, but like it makes it okay that it's happening, or makes it like okay to cry or okay to be in pain, or like, you know. Whereas I feel like when we have tests thrown at us, like our fight or flight thing comes off. So we're either like we're gonna totally fight this, like we're gonna fight this, or we're gonna act like it's not there at all and just like act like I'm not in pain. But I feel like in that way, like we're tapping into like our animalistic nature and like therefore not growing.
Yeah.
And just like enduring pain instead of like embracing pain and like seeing it as something that can benefit us. Oh, pain. Oh, the test of difficulties prayers.
Yeah, that's one of the things that like, it's like after my backpack got stolen, I was like, I don't know. It was tough, but like, basically, like it wasn't the like material things or whatever. It was like the fact that like all my memories were gone. That was the thing that like was the saddest. Yeah, I thought through like.
Yeah, they were what?
I thought through like the different reasons of why like it might have happened, or like what's the wisdom behind it, or like for what reason could it have happened. Yeah, I mean, it was like I didn't say a prayer for detachment yet because I'm still holding out hope that like maybe I'll find it.
But maybe like the second you see a prayer for detachment, like it'll show up. Or it won't.
Or it won't. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I didn't really think that everything had a reason for it until like this summer. Yeah, this summer made me really, I don't know. Because you got, like, a lot of times people tell stories about, you know, oh, and this happened, you're like, oh, wow, you know, and they're like, and I know God exists because this. It's like, oh, okay, wow. And you're like, cool, you know, like, I buy into that story. You know, I believe that story, I believe you, and so I share that, but it's never, like, really personal. But, like, I definitely feel like there's something greater, or like some plan, or something, because like the events of this summer couldn't have been like random, like the timing and everything's
The obligatory prayer. And how you're saying, like you said, the like blessings that like you might not even recognize. It's like one of those same things. Like although this was a test, and although like you personally or like you as a human maybe just can't understand the reasoning or like the way in which growth or something like would come out of it. Like, perhaps there was still something that like, you know, you're not capable of understanding. Maybe that other person isn't capable of understanding. Maybe like a collective, like we still can't even really understand. But like we can't understand God. Like I think it would be very like just as difficult to understand the actions that spawn from God's decisions, you know? Like it's almost like that parental thing. Like your parent tells you an answer and it's like not an answer you want to hear, not one that you personally can make any like logical like argument out of. Like you're like, you can't, like there's no reasoning behind this. But like your parent is literally a person who loves you unconditionally. Like their love for you is not even something I think they can understand. It's just like an innate like thing that they feel and they know they feel. And because of that, like they made a decision. And like when you're 5, like you couldn't understand that. And it's like when the writings talk about that, we're going through like a transitional period where we're no longer in infancy, but we're also no longer in maturity. It's like a time of just like not knowing, but having faith in the family. But just like having faith that like there's, you know, something that is out of a good intention. Because, like, even just as people, like, I don't, like, very rarely are people's intentions not good. And even malicious, like, intentions behind have good intentions. Like, you know? And it's like if we just always have good intentions, like, even if our actions don't appear that way, or, like, perhaps don't become good things, or, like, good actions at all, good results, like, still there was a good intention behind that. And, like, I feel like 99% of the time, at least me, like, can't understand that, because I have a hard time with obedience, which is probably, like, just a hard time with, like, trusting. But, you know, like, you might not understand. The person might not understand. Like, you might never know, but having faith that, like, there was a reasoning behind it. Or not even, like, a reasoning, just, like, a purely, like, love action. Like, an action out of love. You know?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with, like, obedience. I have a problem with authority. I don't know if the two are, like, related, but yeah, I don't know. But not like all types of authority, just authority, like false authority, like people thinking that they can tell you what to do because of some, like, some reason, you know, that's not justified. Like, it was the worst thing ever. Like, so in IB, which was the program that I took part in high school, there's a grading scale out of 7. And so, like, 5 out of 7 would be like maybe 80%, you know? And like 4 out of 7 would be like a 70%. And so it's not like linear, you know? Like a 5 out of 7 is not like 5 divided by 7. That's
Yeah.
My Spanish teacher, she gave us grades out of 7. And then she just like divided them, put them in the grade book.
That's not fair.
I know. And so like I pulled up the grading chart on the website, and it was our midterm, right? So this was like
Important.
the difference between this was like my grade was a B, and if she did it correctly, I would have an A.
Yeah.
And so I was like, excuse me, man. Like, the whole class was affected, right? So, like, the last day of class, before the midterms were due, I showed her, I'm like, here's the grading scale online that we're using for this test that you gave us.
Did she get upset?
And then she was like, the proof was right there, and she was like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, it is true. Like, it's right here. It says so on the thing. And she's like, no, I used that, and that's the grade that you had. And I'm like, if I divide this grade right here, this is what's in the grade book, and then right here is where it says. And, like, she basically told me in that moment, she said, like, as the teacher, I have the authority to, like, choose what your grade is.
No, you don't.
And you can't do anything about it. And so I was like,
Like, it's not just.
I know. And I'm like, this irritates me. Like,
This is my grade. It affects my future.
yeah, I'm like, this is the grade that I'm supposed to have. I'm supposed to have an A. You
This is
gave me
what I
an A.
earned.
Yeah. And then, like, in that moment, like, what can I do? Because she told me, I'm the teacher and you're the student, and I can't deal with authority like that.
Yeah.
And so, like
It's not authority, that's power tripping.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't like.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, like people my age, like around my age, telling me
I hate that.
like what I should and shouldn't
Yeah.
do because of my
I hate that.
wisdom that they like. Are they finally back with the bean game?
They're finally
No,
back.
I'm like, good night.
Time to go.